you'll be back. Now, speaking of irony, how about that American Revolution? If you're not familiar, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you can also find us at our Patreon page at the link below. We have some great reaction videos there, including Phantom of the Opera, The Greatest Showman, new Disney reaction videos going up very soon, and new this week, the Morissette cover of Driver's License. That's all available at our Patreon page at the link below. And you can also find me on Instagram at Mark Daniel Patrick. Now, this has been by far the biggest 11-time Tony Award-winning musical, has made a number of appearances on this channel. And every time I introduce a new song, I always find myself saying, this one's the best the show has. Each musical number has its place in the story and has its own story to tell. But it's always songs that just seem to resonate and hit us the most. Now, I will say chances are our list is not going to match yours. And honestly, that's kind of the point. Because no matter what numbers make all of our top 10 spots, and if we missed any of your favorites, let us know in the comments below. Yes. Coming in at number 10, what did I miss? Really obvious reason. Daveed Diggs, playing the role of Thomas Jefferson and One Last Time. Featuring the most overlooked vocals of the entire show, Christopher Jackson's It's an emotional farewell to Hamilton's mentor that should always end with a unanimous sentiment. At number 8, Helpless. If the loose historical plot seems to go over your head for most of the show, there's one thing we can all no doubt relate to: the feeling of falling head over heels in love. The Hamilton-Eliza meet-cute. This number not only has Eliza, but the audience singing I Do, I Do. At number 7, Dear Theodosia. With some heavy Ben Folds influences and lyrics that perfectly summarize every thought a new parent has, this number gives the show a little perspective. While mostly focusing on Hamilton and Burr making a name for themselves, this number shows us what all this fighting is really for, drawing yet another parallel between our two. Number 6, It's Quiet Uptown. Now the irony isn't lost on us. Number worst thing that could ever happen. The most devastating number of the show silences our quick effective, allowing the audience to fill in the gaps with their own narration of grief. Miranda. Coming in at number 5, You'll Be Back. Now, speaking of irony, how about that American Revolution? If you're not familiar, the Revolution was essentially a group of slave owners fighting against the British because they wanted their freedom. Interesting. World talking. Not about the music or lyrics, but about everything else that was coming out of his mouth. It's a memorable number in musical theater history. Even if you're not a fan of Jonathan, the King, or the song itself, don't worry, you'll be back. She essentially gets to freely live out the arsenic fantasy of every victim of cheating, control, and determine how she's remembered in a way that Hamilton was never able to. Isn't just about the founding father, but the founding mother too. Should be an outright villain in our beloved musical. History books would suggest as much. However, the beauty of this historical retelling is the humanity of Burr. Oftentimes, audience members finding themselves closer to being that of a Burr than a Hamilton. This beautiful and falling behind because of it. Just one of the many pillars in Leslie's march to a Tony win showcases possibly the most relatable lyric of the entire show. When my parents died, they left no instructions, just a legacy to protect. Remember back at number 8 when we said two numbers tell two different sides of the story? Sure to find her dream man. Fast forward to her sister literally saying she wishes that man would burn, but that's kind of the nature of regret. At the end of it all, the price of your Broadway ticket is water under the bridge if Renee has anything to say about it, leaving the audience, all pun intended, more than satisfied.
Two Virginians and an immigrant.
And finally at number 1, Room Where It Happens. Now let's be honest, there's nothing to choose between any of our top 10, as they could all have sufficient arguments for the number 1 spot. But when two Virginians and an immigrant walk into a room, the stage is set for Leslie Odom Jr. to bring home the gold. With a hip-hop style tune, add banjo, This sleek, Fosse-esque number brings our political outsider to deliver what musical theater would coin a full-on showstopper. If Hamilton were a fireworks display, meet your grand finale. The entire company gives you everything they have, capping off a Best Actor, Music Direction, and Choreography Tony Awards all in one number. We want our leaders to save the day, but we don't get a say in what they trade away. An iconic line that sets Burr on the final path to tragedy and reminding us all of the ending that's soon to come.
Click, boom.
So that's our Hamilton list. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if we missed any of your favorite numbers, let us know about it in the comments below. And until next time, I'm Mark Daniel Patrick, and thanks so much for watching.